Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Jimmy V Live. I can't believe it's episode 12 already. And it's amazing. And what I want to let you guys know is this gentleman, this guest we have on now is so remarkable. Not that anybody else hasn't been. He is outrageous. You will like this guy. If you didn't know him in the past, you're going to love him. You're going to love him. And right now, without further ado, how can I do this without the man of steel? Okay, here he is. There's the man of steel. Okay, how can we go without?
How are you?
Going great, man. What's happening? Okay,
Go ahead.
No, go.
No, I was just going to say that we just came back. We were in Tahoe over the weekend. It was my wife's birthday, and we went to Tahoe, and I want to tell you that the town was absolutely packed. We were right on the state line in between California and Nevada. The casino was absolutely packed. It took us an hour to get our boat. The restaurants were full. I'm glad I had made reservations for the hotel, but it was crazy up there, and business seemed to be booming. So it was good to see that. I think a lot of California people, that was the closest place to get to, but it was a good time. A lot more people than I anticipated, but it was good to see that the revenue coming back, and especially the gambling tables were full.
Excellent. And we got to do a little drum roll. Not much of a drum roll. I just get some sound effects. Yeah. I just want to announce to everybody out there, Jimmy V Live has hit the first guest 1,000 views. Woo! Yes. And you're not going to believe who it was or who it is. The other man of steel. There you go.
I think in general we can probably say that we were both 500 each. Maybe we contributed to the overall 1,000. So,
but that's amazing. Good. Thank you very much, viewers out there. We appreciate it because unbelievable, man. This has really taken off. We're very happy with that. And there's one thing now before I introduce our guest. I am so impressed by this individual. We are friends. He worked for a long time at several years, in the Bellagio realm of things. And we'll go into all that. But there's one thing I want everyone to see first, okay? His name is Chef Otto. He has a book, okay, and we'll talk about it. It's called A Chef is Born. It's excellent reading, okay? And I think you can say who that is in the crib in the back. He'll talk all about that. But there it is, okay? There it is. Chef is Born. Excellent reading. But one thing that I was extremely impressed with is if you look at right over here, I really suggest everyone, okay, make sure that you type down this little thing here right there and put it in your, web browser there, copy, paste it, okay? It's TED Talk. You want to learn about this individual. Will you be impressed? I didn't know the things that you want to talk about a motivational speaker. You want to talk about a person that really knows how to speak, who really speaks from the heart. This unbelievable. They call it hyperlink, Mark. Am I right with my terminology? Hyperlink. That link, you put that in there, your browser. You watch this. You're going to be sitting at your edge. You're going to love it. And you can see right there. Okay, it's right there. It's phenomenal. It's TED Talk. And we'll have Otto speak about that. You can see it. I'll put it up there again later on for you guys. Okay. But further ado, I want to bring this gentleman in because not only had he been a great guy, great friend. Hey, you know what? Sonia and I, when we first started, we went out. We had a good time with him and a bunch of other friends. But let me bring him in. Here he is, the man of the hour. And there he is, Chef. There he is.
Jimmy, Mark, good to see you.
There he goes. Now, and I know because we spoke about it. Who do you resemble? Come on. Who does he resemble?
Right now, it's Einstein.
And the guy from Back to the Future. You're a movie star, right?
Dr. Brown.
There you go.
I was going to say Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I get that a lot too.
All right. Okay.
That's phenomenal. So, Otto, man, Fantastic. I mean, you sent me that link. I was impressed, brother.
Well, listen. I appreciate the plug, brother. And it's been a while, as you said. We worked at the Bellagio back in the day, and it's been a good 15 years. And a lot of great people there. And just want to talk about that for a second because those of people who are listening in and don't really know what we do. The Bellagio is a massive property, 1,000 cooks, 100 chefs. I mean, tons of food in and out of that property every single day, and no budget because when a casino is making $1 million a day, it doesn't matter what your food cost is. It's secondary. And we used to do some of the most outrageous things there because of that. And it really is a fantasy land out there in Vegas by every stretch of the imagination.
Absolutely.
Great. So tell us where you're talking to us from now.
I'm coming to you live from Latson, South Carolina, which is about 20 miles west of Charleston, known as the Holy City. So I moved here back in summer of 17. My father called me up and said, hey, I needed to come take care of me. So I packed my vehicle up and moved here to take care of my dad. And my dad passed in April 5th on Palm Sunday. But, hey, those are the best 2 or 3 years of my life I spent with my dad to ensure that he wouldn't go in a home, to ensure that he got the best care that he could. I mean, my dad, he ate so much great food. I took care of him wherever he needed to go. And he had a good run. And I was happy to do that for my dad. I was thrilled. It was an honor. And I do it all over again. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm recently married, got married in the Valley of Fire, which you guys know about, but for those of you who don't, it's a state park outside of Vegas, about 45 minutes or an hour out of Vegas. My wife's Filipina. She's only been in the States since December. So everything's been a massive culture shock to her, but we got married at Valley of Fire, had the reception at the Venetian, and then we took a road trip from Las Vegas to South Carolina. I mean, can you imagine? You come to this country and you marry this crazy guy with this crazier hair, and he's like, "Hey, just buckle up, baby. We're going for a long ride." I mean, Hoover Dam, Grand Canyon, Cadillac Ranch, Dallas. We went to Baton Rouge. Saw my good friend Yvette down there. Went to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. Drove through the Gulf Shores down through Alabama, and then we hit Daytona Beach. I had bought tickets. She didn't know about that. It was a surprise. I bought tickets for her to go see Joe Coy. Oh. Yeah, and that was amazing. So the hotel is about 2 blocks from where he was performing, and I didn't tell her what was going on. And we're walking to this theater, and she's like, "What's going on? I see a lot of Filipino people here." Yeah, big shocker. And then we got back up here and to South Carolina, and we've just been living our best lives since then. It's been great.
Great, awesome. So tell us a little bit about your history. Tell us what you do. Tell us how you made it to Bellagio, what you were doing there. Give us a little history of what you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, thank you for plugging the book there, Jimmy. I appreciate that. And as the book says, a chef was born. Hey, I was born to be a chef. I mean, I knew at the age of 5 I was going to grow up and become a chef. As weird and bizarre as that seems, imagine a kid named Otto growing up in the Midwest in Ohio in the 60s and 70s and knowing he was going to be a chef. And as I say in the book, chefs were like ghosts. You knew what they were, but you never saw them. So I plotted this course, and a lot is owed to both of my parents' sides of the family. The Italian side, I don't know if you know I had any Italian blood in me, Jimmy. My mama, Rose Carmela Simonelli.
Hey!
Yeah, her parents were off the boat from Naples, Italy, and they had 3 kids. They moved to Providence, Rhode Island, and they had 10 more kids.
Wow, Napolitan they call it. You know that, right?
Yeah, what's that?
Napolitan. That's what I am.
Napolitan, yeah. So, so my mother was the 12th of 13 kids, and then my father's parents are from Budapest, and so they're both first-generation Americans, and 2 great nations of culinary heritage. And when I grew up, there was always leftovers, and I would take the leftovers and make something completely different. Like, hey, if we had steamed rice on Monday, Tuesday night I'm making fried rice, just winging it, just whatever. My first cookbook was The Joy of Cooking. Bought that book, and I cooked all through high school. And the plan was to join the Navy and cook, and then get out, use a GI Bill, and go to the CIA. And that didn't necessarily work out, but I did join the Navy. I did cook on a submarine, the USS Patrick Henry, and I ended up going to the Pierre Hotel in New York City where I did an apprenticeship program. Worked a few different places in New York City. I opened La Bernardin. I did a seasonal run up in Nantucket. I summered in Nantucket, and we were in Vero Beach, Florida for a stint there. Ended up opening the Atlantis Resort and Casino in the Bahamas. I was on the opening crew of that beast. That was a monster. It was a lot of fun. Had a great international staff there. And then from there, as fate would have it, I actually ended up getting a job as a chef instructor at the CIA, which was, yeah, that was incredible. And then from the CIA, just really wanted to get back out there because my roots were still growing and getting wild. So I decided to leave there, and I headed to Vegas, and that's when I met Mr. Jimmy. Got a job at the Bellagio. But yeah.
We hit it off right away.
Well, I'm not a New Yorker, Jimmy. I'm from Ohio, but I spent 15 years of my life in New York. So, I got your vibe, and, it's all good.
That's good. You made that lasting impression on me. And we did have fun that night out with everybody. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the book, Otto. I mean, I think the title is amazing. So tell us what's the content? Is it your history? Is it a technical thing? Is it recipes? Tell us what's inside.
Yeah, it's all that and more. So A Chef Was Born, as the title states, it's a memoir of my life from day one to age 22 when I got discharged from the Navy. And so you gents know, and all those out in video land out there, that's the first book of a trilogy. There's 2 more books down the pike because that book only covers my life up to age 22. So, I had an interesting childhood. I was born and raised in Ohio. I was one of 6 kids. I'm not going to give too much of the book away, but I almost died at birth. I cover that. I grew up an hour from Kent State. I was 10 years old when the Kent State massacre happened. That's disgusting there. I talk about my first job in Vermillion, Ohio, at this restaurant called McGarvey's. And McGarvey's was famous. It was known throughout the entire area. The boss there was Eddie Solomon. That restaurant was in existence for 75 years. I mean, gents, that's a freaking eternity for any restaurant. I don't care what you're talking about. And Eddie was an old school restaurateur. He was a incredibly hospitality minded man. This guy had a business called Hospitality U. And it wasn't a brick and mortar business, but he would actually go to other restaurateurs and teach restaurateurs would pay Eddie to teach their staff on service. I mean, Eddie he was amazing. I learned so many amazing things from him. Hand goes up, tip goes down. Talking about the servers. That is your section. You own those people for the entire night. The guests that don't complain, they just don't come back. You have to fix the things that are wrong with the guests at that moment. If you don't fix it, you might as well kiss them goodbye. But the biggest thing I probably got from Eddie was, Eddie was a Navy guy. He served in World War II. And he knew I was going to go and become a chef one day. And he would ask me, Otto, what are you going to do when you own your restaurant? How are you going to differentiate yourself? What are you going to do to bring people into your restaurant to make a choice over somebody else? How are you going to be different? And that was a big lesson that Eddie taught me. You got to be different. You got to provide a service that nobody else has and that makes you unique. And Eddie was certainly that kind of guy.
Hey, Otto, how did this pandemic hit you guys over there on the East Coast? Out here, we got hit pretty hard, I know you read, and you have friends out here told you. We have a lot of things going on, and we have regulatory things that are issues that are really actually separating the casinos from the private industry. And we just had a ruling recently that the governor's still keeping closed the bars and local taverns, but he's keeping the restaurants open to a limited basis. And, we've had all kinds of crazy things, and I'll touch on that a little later. But what's happening on your side of the world, man?
Yeah, it's much of the same, Jimmy. And I got to tell you, when I saw my good buddy Jordan, who's not in the business, send me his photographs of what Vegas was going through during that time when it got shut down, I couldn't believe it was a ghost town. I mean, it was absolutely insane. And that same scenario was happening here in Charleston. Again, a major tourist destination, a large, seaport here on the East Coast, and it was shut down. And it was willy nilly. Hey, I still want to go to the beach. I want to do this. I want to do that. And like every other place, there was, conflicting information and misinformation about what people could and could not or should and should not do. But right now, I can tell you that, we're not Texas or New York or California, but we're not far behind. We're one of the major states with Corona. And it is mandatory when you leave your house, you have a mask on.
Yeah.
And then, when you go in any Walmart, CVS, wherever you're going, you got to have a mask everywhere. But it's the same as anywhere else. It's a high concern to get this thing, taken care of.
Wow. Yeah, we've had some singling out, and we've had guests on in the past, and you remember the local taverns, how strong they are here in Vegas.
Oh yeah,
and we had them hit, and the governor made a couple things, which you may agree, some people may disagree, but we don't get into that. But another thing came out when everybody thought they want to get back, because I think Mark's dad said last week, like 300,000 people don't have jobs, and we got to get them back to work, and everybody's following the safety and all the protocols, that. And it's just now everybody's just trying to survive here, but on the good thing of the whole thing, I know it's going to bounce back. It's Las Vegas. I know the country's going to bounce back. It's just when everybody's so anxious to get going,
Yeah, it's a tough road to hoe. I mean, no one has a crystal ball, obviously, but I'm going to say, Jimmy and Mark, that we're looking at 2 to 4 years before this gets back to normal. If that in case, what is normal after this?
Yeah, what's the norm, right? What's the norm? Hey, what's the taste of freedom, man? Every time I get an email, it's taste of freedom. Explain that.
Yeah, taste of freedom. I'm glad you asked that, Jimmy. That's a great question. I've been saying that since 91, and a lot of people, when they see that, they automatically think, oh, the guy's a chef. It's about eating what you want or whatever. And actually, what taste of freedom means and what that's about, and the whole existence behind that, is for you. It's for Mark. It's for everybody out there who reads that and says it, to be whatever you want it to be. Freedom means different things to different people. So, for example, hey, when I'm a 16-year-old kid growing up in Ohio, I can't wait to get my driver's license. If I'm in a workplace with a bad boss, I can't wait to quit my job or fire my boss. If I'm in a bad relationship, I need to get out of there. It's about creating your own happiness, your own freedom, your own level of personal being that's going to make you be your best individual person. That's what Taste of Freedom is about. Everybody can use that expression and put it in their own sort of way to make it work for them. And that's what Taste of Freedom is about.
Wow, that's awesome. Chef, tell us a little bit about, so it sounds like in your career you were a teacher for a long time and also worked in operations. You grew up in the business, sounds like. Tell us a big difference, because Jimmy and I are both operators and teachers at the same time, and I'm sure we all have our different perspective. Jimmy from sanitation, I'm from the front of the house. Give us a back of the house perspective of what it feels like to be a teacher and mentor somebody and show them something that they've never seen before, as opposed to the daily operations. And what do you like better? What are the pros and cons? Give us a little synopsis here.
Wow, that's a great question. Teaching was great. And guys, as you can imagine, as a kid growing up in Ohio and having a dream to go to the CIA and never attending that school, but then eventually getting hired as a chef instructor, I mean, that was kind of Mount McKinley. I mean, that was the ultimate destination for me to be as a chef. For me, the great thing about being a chef instructor at the CIA was it made me a better cook, because when you're in the industry, as you guys know, and you're the chef, and you tell the cook to make the mashed potatoes to do X, Y, Z, and they go, well, why, chef? And you go, because I said so, or because I'm the chef. Well, when you're in an educational environment and the student asks you, well, why, chef? You can't say that to them. You have to fully explain that, why you take the potatoes and peel them and cut them in quarters and start with cold water and salt them and don't overboil them and strain them and steam them dry, etc. You have to explain the process. And in turn, I'm grateful for that, because what that did for me personally, that made me a better cook, not a better chef. Because as you guys know, a chef is just is a manager. It's a fancy name for the conductor of the orchestra. But when I taught, I became a better cook because I learned all these subtle nuances, the reasons why you did that. Because when I came up through the ranks and did my apprenticeship, I was shown how to do these things, but it wasn't fully explained to me why. So now I know the why. I got the stone cold experience behind me. So when you take those two together, that's what separates my crazy persona from a lot of other different chefs. But the great thing about cooking, or the great thing about culinary education is it's basically a Monday through Friday gig. No holidays, no nights, no weekends, but you're not making the best money in the world. I mean, you're making line cook pay, for God's sakes, but you have a life. And if you're a married guy with several kids, that might be the path you want to choose. I love teaching at CIA. It wasn't the be all end all job for me, but it was a great opportunity. It's on my resume. The industry is fast and furious, as you guys know. I mean, it's brutal. I've been in this business for 45 years now, and I've seen grown men cry, and it's a tough road to hoe, but I love the industry. It's exciting. Hey, I'm a dinosaur now. There aren't many of them out there like me anymore, and that's why I'm going to be doing the podcast. That's why I'm doing more writing, and doing different things. Let's face it, it's a young man's game. At least being the line cook. So
yeah, that's the restaurant business in general, right? It's a kind of a young man's game, and it's good to be able to use your head more than your body as you progress over the course of time. So,
hey, Otto, if you feel old, just add the two numbers together, man, and that's your age. That's it.
Bro,
right?
I don't feel old, but let's face it, I just don't have the wheels or the energy to do that grind anymore. I get it. But I'm gonna give you a little exclusive here, Jimmy and Mark, that I'm working on, and this thing kind of came to me like a lightning bolt, and I'm super excited about this. And I worked at Charlie Trotter's. I didn't mention that, but I'm bringing it up now. But Charlie, obviously one of the greatest chefs in America, one of the greatest chefs in the world, and just an incredible, amazing guy, and the most generous human being you'd ever want to meet. And Charlie was so peculiar and particular. He was an unusual cat, but he was driven and he was a taskmaster. But long story short, I've been in discussion with Ann Trotter Hinkamp, who is Charlie's sister. And I've now received permission from the estate of Charlie Trotter to compile a book of stories about Charlie Trotter's life from contributors of people who worked there, people who were purveyors, people who ate there, people who knew this story. Because when you hear the stories of how generous this guy was and what he did, it will floor you, because nobody knows that side of Charlie. And for me, it's really important to tell these stories, especially now with this pandemic, of who this guy was and to help maintain his legacy. I mean, honestly, for me, this guy was nothing short of a modern day Escoffier. He really and truly was. And that's why I'm going to start working on this book. It's called Kind of Charlie: The Grace and Goodness of Charlie Trotter. That's the name of the book. And I'm going to be.
That's awesome. Let me know. I actually have a few friends that used to work at the Charlie Trotter out here, so I know a couple people that I might be able to introduce you to from the front of the house and the Las Vegas perspective.
I would love that. I really would have. Thank you so much.
How'd you go about it, getting those rights? Did you know the family already, or you just went there kind of cold call, or how did that play out? That doesn't seem like an easy thing to make happen.
Well, yeah, you're right, but listen, I got a set of rations, bro. Okay, I mean, I'm all about persistence, and I really wasn't taking no for an answer. And even when that window was about that much for being shut down, I stuck with it, and I made it happen. But let me tell you something more interesting than that is how the idea hit me. So I was at the ACF conference in Orlando last year, and I was on this panel of 6 or 8 people, and the title of the talk was how to hire, train, and maintain your best employees. Okay, so it's now my turn to talk, and I say, hey, you want to have a kitchen where no one knows who the boss is. That's something I learned from Charlie Trotter. And then I told the crowd a few of my stories, whatever, and that was that. Well, the next day I'm walking down this, massive hallway of this, Marriott Convention Hotel, and this chef walks up to me and says, "Hey, I really like your Charlie Trotter story." I said, "Great." He says, "I got one for you too." I said, "Great." Long story short, he tells me this amazing story about what Charlie did for him. And I said to myself, well, that was kind of Charlie. Meaning that was really nice of him, but also it was kind of like it was Charlie-esque. And that was when the lightning bolt hit, like, boom, Otto, you need to write a book about all these stories that are out there that no one's ever heard of. So I contacted Ann. I said, I got to talk to you. She loved the idea from the get-go. And then some things happened. And then I'm like, and then boom, I got permission.
Awesome. Good for you. So you talked about Charlie and the other gentleman from before. What other kind of mentors do you have in your industry? I mean, that sounds like now you're a teacher, you're a chef, you're a writer. You've done a lot of things, and now you're going to be a podcastist. So, what kind of mentors have you had along the way to kind of guide you, and anyone in particular that stands out?
First and foremost, my dad.
Okay.
You can't go anywhere without putting him first. Eddie Salomon, the owner of McGarvey's Restaurant.
Sure.
This guy named Billy Nimick, who was on the submarine with me. This guy was a wild man. This guy graduated the CIA in 1960 when it was still in New Haven, Connecticut. He was on my submarine. And that guy was insane, and he taught me so much. I talk about him in the book, and he was just an incredible influence on my life, and he was a great encourager of me to go to the CIA. So Billy Nimick, my apprenticeship chef, amazing guy, Michael Skibitsky, interesting gentleman, born and raised in San Francisco. His father died when he was quite young, 9 or 10. His mother remarried an Englishman. They moved to England. Michael ended up going to Westminster College, and then he got a job with the Roux brothers and worked at the Roux brothers for some time. And then he moved back to the States and was a chef de cuisine at the Pierre Hotel. And that's when Michael and mine's paths crossed. And Michael one day said to me, well, what's your goals? What do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to go to the CIA and become a chef. And he said to me, well, why do you want to go to the CIA and spend all that money? I'm going to teach you what they're going to teach you, only better with daily applications, and we're going to pay you. So, hey, to a 23-year-old kid, that sounded pretty damn good. And I didn't go to the CIA. And the kicker is that I got a job there later on in 2001. And then who else got a job there later on through me? Michael Skibitsky. He became a chef instructor at CIA. Another great mentor of mine, not a culinary mentor, but a spiritual mentor, Arthur Caliandro from Marble Collegiate Church. Amazing human being, the wisest man I've ever met in my life. For those of you who don't know Arthur Caliandro or Marble Church is where the famous and late and great Norman Vincent Peale preached for 40 plus years. And Norman Vincent Peale handpicked Arthur as his replacement. Arthur was an associate pastor at that church. And I met Arthur during some dark days of my life in the early 90s, and he set me straight. And I owe a great deal to Arthur, and rest in peace, my colleague. But that guy was my spiritual mentor for a good 20, 25 years.
What about your time on TV, man? You were a TV star. How many shows did you do? What did you do?
I was on the second season of Top Chef, and then most recently I was on Supermarket Stakeout on Food Network. That just shot like in January. It aired in April. So yeah, I did a couple of TV shows, and actually, Jimmy, I'm working on a TV show format. I mean, as you know, TV production's down the tubes right now, and who knows when it's going to get back to normal, whatever normal is going to look like or be when it resumes. But I do believe I have hey, Jimmy, you got to be different. And I got a different idea for a show that's never been done before, which I will not divulge at this time.
No, don't do that. But what is it like when you're on a show and you're on a chef show? Because I know what we see isn't really what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And probably the most common question I get about Top Chef especially is like, is it really like that, or do they stage things? Like, do they tell you what to do and make the plot? No, that doesn't happen. The story tells itself. Things unfold. Listen, I don't got to tell you two guys. You get 10, 15 type A personality chefs in a freaking enclosed room for 30 days. Shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's why you have this wide variety of chef testants, as they call them, on the air. So what one thing they do is, for 23 hours a day, you have these PAs, production assistants, following you around. And, hey, they got a notepad, okay? And they're just writing stuff down all the time. Little interreactions, whatever. So let me give you an example. Let's say Joey is a chef on the show, and one day he's bad-mouthing smokers. I hate smokers. It's like kissing a cigarette. Why would anybody want to slowly kill themselves? Blah, 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 blah. Well, Joey makes it to the finals on Top Chef. It's him and another chef. And guess what? They catch Joey sneaking a cigarette somewhere like on the back dock or whatever, and he's puffing away. Bingo, we got you now. So the story writes itself, and that's why those PAs walk around all day writing notes down. And that's how Top Chef works. I can't comment on other reality shows.
Right.
Like Tom Colicchio and Padma isn't going to, hey, that's not happening. All that stuff that happens, that's all chef inspired.
Sonia always said, get Jimmy on Chop, you'll fail him. I said, nobody wants me on that thing to see what they're doing wrong. It's a TV show.
Jimmy, that would be great to have you on one of those to bring in like a challenge, like right in the middle of all everything's happening. We'll be, okay, well, here's the top health inspector in the United States. Here he is with his own company. He's going to critique the safety right now. So,
hey, you just made me a show, Otto. Let's write it up, man. Let's get it going.
Bro, we need that, man. Oh my God.
Call it the vigilante inspector, man. There you go. There was an inspector show. I think, because Sonia and I had, I don't know, Mark, you might have been to it. You remember that party, Mark, we had? It was like 300 to 400 people came to my house, and it was like the food and beverage people and the TV people. You remember that one, Mark?
Yeah, it was like probably there.
Yeah. Well, we had them here, and Otto, let me tell you something. The food and beverage people don't really mix with the TV people. I'll tell you right now. Okay. We had some different kind of people to come here, and I'm not going to go through the whole story, but there was one guy who was a producer, one guy who was this, one guy who was that. And then the food and beverage people are all sitting there with their arms crossed. Like, who are these people, man? They're not real, but we all mended together. But I know just from speaking at that time, we were talking about it. And then they came out with some show, a chef show. I forgot what it was. And it was mainly set in, like where you mentioned, New Orleans, out there, right? So down there. And they showed the chef, but it was so fixed, okay? I don't know if it was a comedy show or if it was a real inspector show. They showed the inspector sitting there talking to somebody and his fly is down. I said, this has got to, because, I have to see all this stuff, this has got to be a bunch of baloney. But no, we were approached by different things, but what stopped them was people said to me, you can't give somebody a B grade. I said, no, I mean, that's legal stuff, We can create something, but it never really materialized to anything. But, when we're off there, I can really tell you the story, what happened behind the scenes. Yeah. But it was a wild time. That was one of our good parties, I don't think we're going to be doing that for a long time, Mark? I think those are gone for a while.
So are you in that poster behind you, Otto? I see the Top Chef photo, and I see some stuff behind you. You want to give us, tell us what all these are?
Sure. Let me give you a little tour, gentlemen, okay? It's Top Chef Season 2. That's Mr. Otto right there, okay? I'm a huge Springsteen fan. This was done for me by an artist friend in Texas. That's where I'm from, Ohio. These two sticks up here, those are very interesting. I wish you could see the detail on them, gentlemen. Those are actually walking sticks by a guy named Roosevelt Wilkerson, and he unfortunately passed away. But he was a black man in Texas, and he was homeless, and he would make these sticks and carve them. And what happened was, I would go to the same church he attended. Another person who went to that church was a sorority sister of Laura Bush. And that sorority sister told Laura about Roosevelt Wilkes. And George Bush got one of those walking sticks. And George Bush also took one of those walking sticks on his trip to the Vatican and gave one to the Pope. And I got two of those walking sticks. That's what these are right here. Little sign says, happiness is an inside job. Born and raised a Buckeye. This is interesting. Let me pull this down here if I zoom in on this. That's an anime of me. This is from 2009. This is when I was working in Virginia. There was a gal. I can't even tell you what her name was because it's this long and it's Thailand. She's from Thailand and she was over here as on an HB visa. And listen, the girl was this tall. And when HR called me and said, "Hey, come down here. We got some students, HB visas that need a job." And I saw her, and she's like, "Oh, please hire me. I'm a good worker." She's this big, and she wouldn't let me go, so I hired her. I took her back to the job, and my boss said, "Otto, have you lost your mind? What is she gonna do in your kitchen?" I'm like, "I'll find something for her." Let me tell you. This gal, tiny, she did the work of 3 men. She was insane. And I happened to go see her. I went and visited her 2 years ago in Thailand. And I didn't know this then. She told me that when she was working for me 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, she had another full-time job at the 7-Eleven working the graveyard shift. Insane worker, incredibly talented woman. She is now in Thailand, back in her home country, where she is in this agricultural business, growing these earthworms to help aerate the soil and teaching fellow Thailanders how to do it. An amazing woman. So that's that. I'll put that back. This is fantastic. This is autographed by Paul Bocuse. It's Leon. There's Mr. Paul right there. I was in the Bocuse store competition in 1996. I didn't win the right to get to Lyon to represent America, but I was one of 9 chefs to compete in the final round. That's pretty cool right there.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is from the Quilted Giraffe. New Year's Eve, 1993, the last dinner. I was there. This was the last meal that was served at the Quilted Giraffe. And everyone who ate there also got this fantastic plate that was custom made from Tiffany's. And as you know, folks, Barry Wine, incredible guy, one of the most amazing progressive chefs in America. Quilted Giraffe back in the day, that was the most expensive restaurant in America. And even here on this menu, it's $150 back in 1993. Big Kennedy fan, JFK.
The Rolling Stones on the bottom there on the right?
Actually, it's somewhat like the Stones, but this is just a piece of work a friend of mine did. Kind of a play on the Stones.
That's cool.
Yeah, thank you, brother. And then I got a submarine here. I used to be in the submarine force, so that's all about that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I got more stuff to hang up there and whatnot, but that's it. And thanks for asking. I got a large collection of stuff. I'll point this out here. These are copper pans that I bought in France and I took back to America. And those were the very same pots I used to cook my entree in for the Bocuse d'Or in 96. Those pots are from a 16th century copper pot manufacturer in France.
Well, Chef, when I watched the TED Talk, right? Yeah. When I watched that, you had the chef coat on.
I had the chef coat on.
The different countries, right? Is that where you've gone?
Those are countries I've been to, visited, cooked at, mission trips, whatever. But every one of those nations, I've been to 30 now,
Wow.
is on my chef coat.
That is excellent. And I can't even say I've been to 30 cities.
Well, it's a great coat to wear, Jimmy, because what it does it's an automatic conversation starter. Because people are like, they look at it and then they realize, and like, for example, I was at that convention last year, and there's obviously some foreign chefs there, and they're looking for their flag, and they will either say, "Oh, chef, you've been in my country," or like, "Hey, where's my flag?" And I say,
Hey, I got a good question for you, Otto. You said 30 countries, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you've been to 30 countries. You've been on the back of the house side, okay? I know Marco will appreciate this. And we've been after this for a while. And I'm glad you're here because you can answer this question. You've seen the front of the house operations. You've been involved in it. Out of all the countries that you've been in, okay? I don't think Otto was in that picture. They brought me a picture of Bellagio. I'll show you that in a second. Out of all the countries you've been in, who has hit you, okay, with the best hospitality service around the world, okay? And forget it. Vegas is always up there back in the day, but I'm just saying, besides the United States, what country can you say goes above and beyond the normal expectations of the hospitality? What we're missing now. Wow. How do you like that question?
Jimmy, that's a freaking great question. It really and truly is. And 30 countries, I mean, that's a stretch here. So, but I got to tell you, probably one of the most incredible nations for hospitality, which really sort of threw me for a loop because I never expected it to come from there. But the citizens of that nation, they pride themselves on it, and that's Turkish hospitality. The Turks. Yep. I'm talking about I'm not talking about just going to a fine dining restaurant. I'm talking about everyday mom and pop joint and doing what's supposed to be done to this level of expectation that you and I and Mark have. And the Turks really did surprise me at their level of hospitality. I mean, listen. In Turkey, you can be talking to a rug merchant, but next thing you know, I'm talking 2-3 minutes in this conversation, you're having a cup of tea. They love their tea over there, and they will sit you down and have a cup of tea, no matter who you are, what you do. And in my travels, driving a car and just checking it out, can you imagine this friggin' alien walking through the back streets of some podunk town in Turkey, and they see this guy like, they know I'm not from around there, and they want to know who I am, and they call me into their house, and they pour their tea for me. And if they got 2 pieces of cake, guess what? I'm going to get 1.5 pieces. They will give the guests more than they have. So that was a remarkable experience being over there. I was over there. I didn't talk about it, guys, but you can look up Mardan Palace, Mardan. That's a $1.4 billion hotel that was built in the middle of the economic downturn in 2009, and I was on the opening crew of that hotel as well. Amazing opening night. Sharon Stone, Richard Gere, Tom Jones, Seal. Oh my God. It was built by a guy named Tilman Ismailov. And Tilman is a Russian Jew from Azerbaijan with more money than the Catholic Church. The guy is freaking loaded. And he built this monster hotel in this town called Antalya. About 500 kilometers east of Istanbul. And what an amazing, stunning property that it really is.
Is that, you got a question there? Is that Bruce Springsteen on the upper left of your room?
Eric Snyder, you are the winner. Yes, it is.
Eric was our inaugural guest. He's like our biggest fan. Hey, yeah. I got something here for you. Okay. Some memorabilia. Everybody comes running in with this. I don't know if you're in this picture or not. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it.
Yeah, probably not.
Hang on one second. Let me move the microphone.
I can see it.
This is the old staircase of the Bellagio.
Yeah.
With all the chefs in the front of the house, people. How do you like? Can you see anybody? I know you can see Win Person in there. Well, in there.
Yeah, I can see it, but I really can't see it to make them out. But I don't think I'm in that photo. But that's a cool photograph.
Yeah, it's in a big. They gave it out. And they get this big thing here. It's amazing. They brought it in. My son brings in. See if Chef Otto's in it. See if Chef Otto's in it. And that's back in the day. So that probably was right after your time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's amazing because I always keep this memorabilia. When we first started the podcast, Mark says, "Look what I got! I got my ID card." And now they're bringing this.
I think I do have it here still.
Remember this?
Oh my God! Look at that.
The first, the yearbook. Remember?
Yeah.
Everybody when we first opened that place. Oh man! I mean, I'm a big memorabilia guy. I don't know if you see in the back of me. It's all golden.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah, he's got it. See?
That's cool.
Hey, Mark, check this out. Now
it's the same.
Yeah, same.
The Bellagio parking pass, guys.
Wow.
We can go on and on and on. Otto, man, this is great. I mean, what I've developed into after my time in the corporate world, I actually went into I got into the corporate world. I know we talked about how I got there before, but I got into the corporate world. It wasn't exactly what I thought. So I went on my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to this day, I've always do the food and beverage safety sanitation training, whether they're front or back of the house. And I also do now the mobile food trucks. It's really big out here. And we also, Mark and I combine services. We do the COVID-19.
Wow.
We're also go ahead and I think Mark got a call from somebody in another country. He was telling me today. So, we're expanding our horizons out there, and now we got the Jimmy Vigilante. And at the end, we'll go over everything. But Mark, tell Otto exactly what you do, because I don't think Otto even knows. He knows there's something in front of the house, but let him know.
Yeah, well, thanks. So you were mentioning earlier about your friend Eddie, right? Who had a really, really nice restaurant, and other restaurants were actually hiring him to come over and train service standards and things like that. Yes. So, I feel the restaurant industry has exploded so much that a lot of the front of the house members, probably like all three of us here, we just randomly got into the business, and before you know it, you get promoted along the way. And then all of a sudden 10, 15, 20 years goes by, and the only training you really professionally got was the first training that you ever got, which probably wasn't that good. So, I have a certified school certified by the state of Nevada, the Commission on Post-Secondary Education, where we actually train front of the house restaurant professionals, and we go through a whole curriculum and program, everything from hospitality, service skills, food, wine, sake, beverage, obviously revenue generating to upsell, because, being a car salesman or a salesman for liquor is a lot different than actually being at your table, because, your server is really only your only ambassador at the table sometimes, right? Think about every time you go to a restaurant, 95% of your interaction is with that server only. So, we need to teach them everything under the sun, the brand ambassador. And of course, now the big thing is they're your sole proprietor or safety person, for sanitation. So we do that as a certified program. We also teach people who are under 21 for entry-level positions, for hostess and bussers as well. So when we do management, and I do personal classes for wine, beer, and sake also. So
that's the Restaurant Hospitality Institute.
Correct.
RSI.
Yeah.
So is that a brick and mortar, or you go on site?
Both. We do custom programs on site, but we actually have our own facility that I'm in right now. I'm sitting at my front desk, and we're actually looking into moving into a larger facility because we just recently got certified to do or approved to do alcohol awareness, which I know you probably know if you were here in the state of Nevada, that if you need to work in a restaurant or handle alcohol, you need to be certified by the state. And we were just approved as a vendor during this pandemic. So we're kind of rounding out that and moving to a bigger space right now. So,
I mean, guys, you cannot preach or teach enough about food safety and service standards. You cannot. I mean, they have to be instilled in people at a young age. And, come on, how many people do you know have sort of just like fallen through the cracks and have been in our business and just got on by because, well, that's how we've always done it.
Yep. I mean, that's exactly what we're around for. And I liked a couple of the things you said to begin with. If the customer's hand has to go up, then your tip is going down. I like that, and I might put that in my curriculum somewhere. So I'll give you some royalties for that once that comes around.
I'll give you another one. I'm not sure if Eddie coined this term, but I learned it from him. He would say the answer is yes. What's the question?
Correct.
Like you don't say no to a guest. Yeah, he was amazing.
You remember my motto, right?
What's your the proactive and reactive?
Yeah, you remember. You remember that?
Yeah.
For years, the same thing. I've never changed. It's far better to be proactive rather than reactive.
That's
and
it.
Who was it? Governor Cuomo stole my quote. I heard him saying my quote. He was throwing the poor pandemic. I didn't give him permission. But anyway.
Let's send him some papers, Jimmy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So one of the big things that we talk about, and again, this is one of the things you talked about at the beginning, is the number one thing that we talk about when we talk about our restaurant selling is the best upsell that you can ever make to your guests is for that guest to come back. There's no two bits about it. Sell your extra piece of cheese, dessert, chicken, whatever you want to do. But the best way, I don't know any restaurants in the whole world, even right now, that are struggling when your whole restaurant is full of repeat guests.
Right. 100%.
You got that right. So, go back to Charlie for a second. And, I was talking to Ann, and just brainstorming who we want in this book. And I can't recall the guy's name, but this guy was a New Yorker. This guy ate at Trotter's like 350 times. Can you imagine? I mean, that guy needs to be in my book, but yeah, Charlie was insane. Like, quick story about Charlie. One day I'm working there and he had a flour bin and a sugar bin that kind of, came out on an angle. So I'm pulling it one open one day to get some sugar or flour out. And he happens to be walking by as I pull it open. And it gave like this little creak, right? Charlie stopped dead in his tracks, turned around. Did you hear that? Yes, chef. Fix it. Like, don't wait for that thing to creak one more second. It's a problem. Take care of it. Like I said, Charlie was a taskmaster. There's no question about it. The guy was insane at controlling what happened in his kid. Guys, imagine this: Charlie Trotter's Saturday night. You're cranking out 10, 12 course meals, and Charlie leaves because he's got to go to the airport and, pick up Paul Bocuse or Alain Ducasse or Tetsuya Wakata or whoever's flying in to be there with him for that weekend. All right, so Charlie's pulling up now, and he's on the phone talking to Matthias, his chef de cuisine. Okay, stop the service. We all stop service. Can you imagine? We just walk out of the kitchen onto the sidewalk of the restaurant, and here comes Charlie pulling up with this famous chef, and we're all standing there with champagne like the military, like a passing review for this chef to come out and honor him. I mean, that's the kind of stuff Charlie did. It's just unheard of. Man,
that's phenomenal. I want to pump this book, everybody.
I'm here to
pump. Great reading. This is fantastic reading, guys.
How can you get it, Chef?
Yes, Chef.
You go to Amazon.com. Just go to Amazon.com, type in the search engine there, A Chef is Born. It'll pop up. It did make Amazon bestseller in its category. And also, if anybody is out there interested in getting an autographed copy, that's OTTO graph copy, just message me on Facebook, PM me, whatever. I will give you instructions. I'll be happy to autograph it for you and send it in the mail to you. And Jimmy got an autographed copy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then everybody, again, I'm highly recommending TED Talk. You got to go on this link right here. Okay, you guys take time to write that down, because when you watch this, okay, unbelievable. I know Otto many years, and the intelligence and the know-how, you can tell he's been world round. I'm just by listening, and just everything that comes out of Otto's mouth, it was like, wow, you learn something, and you could tell by the applause at the end, and when everybody was really into it. And and he even says a joke in the beginning, which I'm not going to ruin it, but I'm telling you, when I first got that, I first turned it on, I was expecting something totally different. But no, he wasn't sitting there telling recipes. Okay, this was really amazing. I mean, I'm shocked. I'm more, and everybody's known I'm a video guy. You know what I mean? I'm a video guy more than a book guy, but because of Otto, I read. You know what I mean? But unbelievable how it caught me and it grabbed me. And this is phenomenal, and you guys really write it down, take it. And, you guys could always, let me know what you think here. Okay. Cause I have the jimmyvlive.net. If you guys have any guests or suggestions for me and Mark, hey, no problem, and this is great, man. And before we get to our question, of course, I'm going to make you guys laugh because I was just brought with some more memorabilia. Here's one. Okay. This is Sonia's ID card.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
And what did she do there? Was she an admin for F&B? What was her job?
Yeah, she started in security and Lost and Found.
Oh, okay.
And then she became
and she found you.
The girls in the front. And Mark, you may recognize this. This is Bellagio 2002, brother. Look. See if you get this out of the way again.
It needs to go lower.
Wow.
Look at those guys.
We got Julian Serrano right in the front.
Yep. You recognize a lot of those guys.
I see Grant there, yep.
This is 2002.
Who's that guy to the right or left of Grant with the short black hair? Who's that guy? It's my left.
Black hair, that's Ewart. And it is John Philippe. We were talking about John Philippe on the other side of Grant. So this is a lot of glare, but this was unbelievable. And then it was funny because in Grant's office back in the day, he had everybody sign the heads. It was like memorabilia. So I remember all that. That was a lot of fun back in the day. Otto, there is a question that Mark likes to ask. It became like our practice, and it's really good. I'm gonna let Mark ask his question there. Go ahead, Mark. Ask Otto.
That's the way.
Yeah, well, everyone who we have on the show, Otto, Las Vegas is a big mecca. Everyone seems to come here or worked here or has connections in hospitality. We like for everyone individually to share a Las Vegas story because, you won't even really know what it's like to be here unless you're actually here and it's working, and it's a lot different than the Carolinas or California even, or, even overseas. So give us a story that is a Las Vegas story, professionally, personally, a gambling story, something that you'd like to share that really gives us, a feeling of what Las Vegas is to actually be here.
Wow.
I told you wouldn't get off easy.
So many bloody, you guys couldn't have texted to me this earlier, could you? No, you got to wow.
It's called Jimmy B Live for a reason.
Yeah. So many stories about Vegas. Amazing place. Wow.
Maybe a celebrity you met came into your restaurant.
Well,
you're from Ohio. Maybe you went to a Cleveland Browns game. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you this. So, I worked in the garbage there at the Bellagio, and one day another one of the 100 chefs comes into my kitchen. And it's Jeff Henderson.
Yep.
He walks into my kitchen and he says, "Yo, come." He who ran the Cafe Bellagio. He says, "Hey, come by my kitchen. I want to show you something." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I go to the kitchen there, and he pulls out this briefcase. It kind of looks like a pilot's briefcase, like a flight briefcase, right? And he opens it up, and I'll never forget him saying this to me. He said, "Yo, my shit's blowing up." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I'm writing a book." I looked at him. I'm like, "You're writing a book?" I said, "What are you writing a book about?" He said, "Man," I was locked up for 10 years. I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah," he goes, "I was locked up for 10 years." I said, "What were you in jail for 10 years for?" He says, I was a I was a crack manufacturer." I'm like, "Damn." And he proceeds to tell me this story about how, he's rolling in 40, 50K a week, got the Rolex, driving a Bentley into Caesar's Palace on the weekends. The dude's a whale. Okay. Well, he got caught and spent 10 years, and then that 10 years in the pen, he was cooking there, and that's when he found this passion and knew that he was going to get out and take this newfound skill and apply his street smarts to it and do something with himself. And he was the first black chef hired at Caesars. He was the first black chef hired at the Bellagio, and we're still friends today. And then, and Jimmy, you know the story, man. He really blew up at the Bellagio. What happened? He went on Oprah. Oprah had a show one day with 4 people on the show. It was a show about redemption. and each person had 12 or so minutes on there. There's Jeffrey. Boom. He tells a story. 2 or 3 days later, the rights to his book is being sold to Will Smith. Okay, that's my Vegas story, and I'm sticking to it.
I like it.
Go.
I like it. Thank you.
There you go. And I want one thing I want to do before we go, because that was a great question. I want to answer some of these questions because I don't like them. No problem. All you people who are our past guests that received their hat, you're welcome. Mark, there's a happy birthday from Sonia to the wife. Okay, I got congratulations on your wedding, Otto. Bree is saying hello to us.
Hi, Bree.
Eric Snyder's the biggest fan here. He's all over the place. We're gonna have 100. We're gonna have 100,000 views with Otto. Look, hey Otto, man. I don't know, man. Maybe you have to de-pants or something. I don't know. We'll see. And then we go. We got you're a great guy, inspirational.
Thanks, Sonia.
It's just great what's coming in. Eric says it's not don't say young man's game because he's 60, he's 40 years doing a bartender. You know what I'm saying? So you're a bullet in the business. It just keeps going on and on. Mark Steele will bring the hospitality and us. We'll do it all over the world with shows. Mark, Sonia's saying we can do shows, me and you. It's endless, guys. You know what I mean? But listen, Otto, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been great. The intellect, the information. Again, everybody, the book, A Chef is Born. You can definitely see. Oh, we got another one here. Who's this? Let me see. Oh, here you go. Here's one.
Rod Jewell.
There you go. See?
Hey, Rod. So
You're
just so
awesome.
you know.
How
Rod,
could you come on?
Hey, Jimmy, Rod is my buddy from kindergarten. We joined the Navy together.
There you go. See? We're reaching out to everybody. Jimmy V Live is getting everybody. And
Thanks
you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy about that. And I want to push one more thing before we go. Again, here's Otto. Chef is Born. Go to TED Talk. There's the link. It's excellent. You already got Mark's information over here on the bottom for his school. You can get mine, which is coming up right here. You guys know how to reach us. I should do a commercial. 412-3333. And then anybody who has the Jimmy V Live, Jimmy V at jimmyvlive.net. You want guest inquiries? You guys have suggestions? Let Mark and I know. We'll go through them all. And you know what? It's been a pleasure. I mean, your friend Rod is going nuts there. There you go. So everybody,
Go nuts, Rod.
Yeah, and Sonia says, say hello to your beautiful wife. So with that said, Otto, it's been a pleasure, my friend. We'll keep in touch for sure. Okay.
Hey, book Jeff Henderson, brother.
I know he was talking to me not too long ago. He's been busy doing something, and we said no problem. He said he'd get in touch with me coming down the line. So that's good. He's a good guy. So with that said, my friend, I want you to take care. You know what I mean? I want you to have a good congratulations on marriage. Everything's going. We'll stay in touch, my friend.
Hey, thank you so much, Mark, Jimmy. I appreciate your time. It's an honor to be on here. You guys stay safe out there. Taste the freedom.
You got it.
Thank you.
Take care, buddy. Stay safe.
Be in
Bye-bye.
touch about Trotter, Mark. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Whoa. It's just getting better and better, Mark.
It's like a whirlwind sometimes.
Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know how we can top them every week. It's just getting better. Next week, let me see. Next week is another one that you'll enjoy. It's a little more based on where we are. We'll talk about that come up. We got some characters next week, okay? And so I'm saying it's going to be great. Good guys. And we'll get that later on. But I just want you to know, Mark, everything's been great. I'm having a good time with everything. I just want you to Otto's gone. Otto's gone. But you want to say hello to Mark? You said hello to Otto. Oh, no, wait. I can bring her. Hang on. I'll bring Otto back in.
Hey,
He's there. Come here. Say hello. Sonia wants to say hello, Otto. Over here. Over here.
Hey,
She comes in.
how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I miss you.
I mean,
You are so much fun over at the Bellagio. And I just want to say thank you so much for all the insight. I really appreciate it.
Hey,
You gotta come over here more.
it's my pleasure. You know, I love Jimmy. We had a great relationship with the Bellagio. As crazy as that place was, and look at this: 10 years later, 15 years later, we're right back at it. It's good stuff.
Right.
That's great, buddy. It's good seeing you.
Yeah, but there's one thing that you got to do for me.
What's
I
that,
want
dear?
a pancit recipe.
Which recipe?
Pancit.
Pancit or pancit? Yeah. Pancit.
It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite foods, and
Is it
you know,
really?
be very versatile with that.
Since when did you become Filipino?
I work in a laboratory.
Wow, is that what you're doing now? You work in a lab?
Well, I was working in the lab. Right now, I'm not working there. So,
Wow. Okay.
yeah. I
Wow.
love Filipino food.
Yeah,
I'm so happy to see you again.
they're amazing people.
Absolutely.
As a race
They're
of people.
they're very caregiving and
Yes, they are.
lovable people.
Yeah, and like I say, Sonia, you'll never see an angry Filipino, and if you do, you better run.
All right, I just want to say hello.
Well, thank
There's
you
your
so
friend again. There's your friend again.
Uh-oh.
much. Hey, Ron.
I don't know, Mark. With all these great things we're getting here, we might as well just stick on for another 4 hours without.
Let me try and get Dottie here real quick. Hey, Dottie.
Okay. Where's the wife, Mark? She's home.
Let me write it down. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
That's right. So she wants it recipe. Sonia.
How
Oh,
are you doing?
I'm great.
I love Filipino food. When I worked in the laboratory, that was all the food. It's primary Filipinos, and I love the people. I love the culture. I love all cultures.
Yes.
But on seat, oh my goodness, you cannot not eat that. It's an insult. And then you eat it, and then you stop, and then you get another serving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. Pancit.
There you go.
So many things with that, you know. But I just want to say hello. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the camera.
It's all right. You don't do this, you know. Hey, we're having fun. We got to bring Mark's wife. We got to do the, you know what? Well, maybe a podcast next season. We do the wives. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll be fun.
Yeah, the wives of Jimmy V.
No. Yeah, right. No. Anyway, Otto, great, man. Thank you so much for being on. Nice
my
meeting
pleasure,
you.
brother.
Congratulations on the marriage.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Mark, thank you.
You guys are very happy. A lot of prosperous and success.
Thank you, dear.
Bye-bye. Take care.
We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Exactly. Stay safe, guys.
Bye. Well, Mark, this is our longest podcast.
Yeah.
It's great.
Mark
It's great.
He's mad because I'm on.
Nah, Mark's happy. Come on, please. So, Mark, anything special this week? Anything going on?
No, we just got our next class is coming up, and a lot of new potential projects on the table that I would love to share soon, but we want to wrap up some finale to it. Or,
Next week we'll have another good one. We're getting all kinds of crazy questions. I just want it's amazing. I'll answer everybody's question like I do after the fact. But anyway, Mark, have a good week. We'll
Thanks,
talk.
Jimmy. You too.
Okay. All right. Talk to you soon, pal.
Bye.
You take care, buddy. Bye-bye.